Well, this is wonderful, isn't it? It's a bank holiday Monday, although it's not for Rich in Miami, and we've got loads of people watching, so thanks so much for, spending this time with me. I thought people would be, ditching me tonight, because everyone will have just eaten too much chocolate and fallen asleep early. So that's all good. Now we're only doing these broadcasts once a week on a Monday. We alternate now, so we do Motivation and Mind Hacks one week, then we do Book Club the next week, and then we're actually going to have to do the week after the Q&A, the open Q&A, where we just talk about anything. Then we'll go back to Book Club, I guess. So we're going to do a Book Club, then a Motivation and Mind Hacks this month, that is. So Book Club tonight, Motivation and Mind Hacks next week, then live Q&A the week after, then close on Book Club the week after that. So it's pretty good. I guess we get a bit of variety. And also what I'm going to do to start making these give more value effectively, because we're only going to look at a book twice in a month. I'm going to start adding in videos about the book, etc. I've got a great video about this month's book that I'm going to play for you guys tonight as well. So it's going to be a bit more interesting than just watching me read a book, although I do know that is massively interesting for you lot on the audio experience. You don't even get to see me read the book. Maybe it's more interesting when you don't get to see me read the book. All right, Kim Hunt's just joined on Twitter as well. Good to see you here. So the book we're looking at this month, I've chosen it. This is the reveal. I mentioned it, I think, last week though. It's called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbin. Anybody heard of it? It's something that I think is going to change my life potentially. I'm gonna start using this rule over the next month. I think it could genuinely, God, it's just stupidly simple. It's stupidly simple, but I think it could have a massive impact on everybody here when it comes to productivity, taking leaps, getting courage, and just getting stuff done, basically. Anybody heard of it before we start? Dawn says brilliant already. Dawn, just love your positivity. Brilliant already. Not even read a word of it, but Dawn's well on board. Let me know if you have heard of this book already. Kim says yes. I've got it on Kindle here, so I've not got the hardback version of it yet. That'll be coming through the week, but it's only about £7 on Amazon. I'm sure you guys on here who are thrifty, there's a few of you who are quite resourceful, can probably find a free PDF of it online somewhere. I know that happens sometimes. If you do, then, I don't know, I would say post it in the Facebook group, but then that's sort of copyright infringement, isn't it? If anyone's desperate for a copy of the book, then you can DM each other. I don't know. Just go and buy it. It's £7. But it's very, very good. It's all about, so this is basically Mel Robbins. Today is an incredible woman. Very, author, best-selling author, motivational speaker, very heavily into the psychology of human behavior. Was not always like that. Literally, once upon a time, this woman was like a broken woman, drinking too much, not in a great relationship, not a terrible one, but just wasn't thriving, getting up late, life falling apart, not really doing the jobs that she wants to do. Basically, she was just very normal, I guess. There's a lot of people, including myself, who have lived a life like that at some point in their life. And she saw, I don't want to kind of give it away, but she saw basically a launch of a rocket one evening. NASA was doing a launch, and that whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. And she basically thought to herself, God, you know what? I know all these things in my life I should be doing to make my life better. Really simple freaking things as well, like getting up on time. But they're so hard to do. Why, when we know the things we have to do, the little things to make our lives, much better, do we find it so difficult to do them? And she said, right, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to test out this thing I'm going to term the 5-second rule. And upon waking, I'm going to give myself 5 seconds to get out of bed. I'm not hitting that snooze button another, 3 times before I get out of bed, making me late, making the kids late for school. Just like my life falls apart from the minute I wake up because I'm always waking up late. And it was something she did the next day. She got up, something as simple as that you wouldn't think would have a big impact on her, but it literally changed her life. And she went, there's something in this 5-second rule. And there's been a load of studies done on this now and the psychology behind it that does genuinely suggest that when you have an idea to do something in terms of, you might be like, right, we're a lot of actors on here, you might go, right, okay, I'm going to put a piece of work out on the internet that I've done. Or I'm even going to create a piece of work, and you have that idea. Ultimately, your brain gives you 5 seconds to take action on that thing before it tries to kill the idea. And it tries to kill the idea to do nothing more than protect you from harm. That's all. So, you might be experiencing that now in lots of areas of your life, whether that's getting fit and healthy, if you're not living in the body you would like to live in right now, or you're not having as much success as you would like in your acting career right now, or whatever career you're doing right now, or you want to write that book but you still haven't written one line of it, you want to write that play but you still haven't opened up your laptop to begin typing it, whatever it is. We all know the things that we should be doing in order to have more success, but some of us, all of us actually find it, much harder to do than it should be. So we're going to start implementing this 5-second rule. I'm going to read a little bit of the book, but then I'm going to play you, to make this a bit more interesting, a bit more interactive, I'm going to play you a video of Mel Robbins as well tonight, actually explaining the concepts of this in an interview with a guy called Tom Bilyeu. Tom is a guy who owns a company called Quest Nutrition, and he does a talk show online called Impact Theory. I'd recommend everybody checks that out. Write that down, Impact Theory. With Tom. It's very, very good. Tony says, I've started counting down from 5 before hopping in my cold shower since you mentioned this last week. Oof, cold showers is hardcore, Tony. Especially at this time of year. Well, in the UK, we're just hitting spring, so it's getting a bit better. But yeah, cold showers, a lot of science behind cold showers. A lot of stuff. I agree with this rule, says Kim. Well, good. So the story of the 5-second rule, basically, this book is what it is, why it works, and how people around the world are using it to change their lives in 5 simple seconds, all right? And the events described in this book, Mel says here, there are no names that have been changed in it. There's a lot of social media posts in here that I won't be able to share with you, but I recommend you buy this, because a lot of people, obviously tweet Mel and Instagram Mel when they've used the 5-second rule for how they've used it and what it's done for them. She includes a lot of those in here as well. So that's, you get to see real world examples. And it starts off with a little bit here. It says everyday courage. And it says courage is the ability to do things that feel difficult, scary, or uncertain. It isn't reserved for just a chosen few. Courage is a birthright. It's inside all of us and it's waiting for you to discover it. One moment of courage can change your day. And I'm sure we can all agree with that. Literally, it is this 5 seconds of courage. Can absolutely not change your day. It can change your life. One day can change your life, and one life can change the world. So let's read that again. One moment of courage can change your day. One day can change your life, and one life can change the world. And that's the true power of courage. It reveals you, the greatest version of you, when you're being courageous. Discover your courage, and you'll be capable of accomplishing and experiencing anything you dream about. Yes, even changing the world. And if you saw my vlog today, I know a lot of people on here have been watching my vlog. If you go to youtube.com/watch Ross, you'll see me meet great friend of mine who won an Oscar a few weeks ago. I've mentioned her so many times recently, but Rachel Shenton, she came on my vlog and we had like a 20-minute sit down and we actually talk a lot about courage. And she said in that, she didn't have the courage to initially just, think it was possible to even write a film as an actress who thought she was an actress and not a writer. She said it wasn't, it was never about winning the Oscar. She didn't think in a million years she was going to win an Oscar. But she said it was all the little wins along the way. And the little wins came by taking the courage at each step to go a bit further. And then the bit further you got, ultimately, you wade into the sea, don't you? A little bit, dipping your toes in. Oh, I'm going to write a few little paragraphs of this, this story I want to write. And then you go, oh, actually, that wasn't that bad. And my feet aren't that cold now. They're getting used to the water. And you go a little bit further in, until she's fully in, crowdfunding this film, creates this film, takes it to every festival on the planet, gets Oscar qualification, and ultimately wins an Oscar. Literally insane. You see the Oscar on the vlog. In fact, let me just play you. It plays very, very quick. Here's a 60-second clip of this vlog. I don't know if she talks a little bit about courage in this, but check this out. Best live action short film. You would not believe how heavy this is. Welcome everybody to episode 24 of Watch Ross, the one where we've kicked Petch out of the car because it's raining, and we also get our hands
on an Oscar.
I've planned no questions, Rach, at all. It's just going to be a coffee conversation. Don't know what's going to happen.
Lovely.
Right, we are on. Look at this little guy here. Have you given him like a little nickname or what?
No, just Oscar.
Can we just call him Ross? Rachel's very good at baking cakes. How many birthday cakes have you made me? Multiple.
Well, at least 4 or 5.
At least 4 or 5.
Before I won that Oscar, there were so many wins along that process that possibly other people wouldn't have classed as a win. It's not about the end result as to whether you win or lose. It's about the whole process and having the courage to do each step.
So there you go, a little bit off-piste, but that Oscar you saw there, it looks fake, doesn't it? That's a real one. It's so freaking heavy. That came through courage, literally, without taking those first steps. Wouldn't have been able to do that. So this 5-second rule we're looking at tonight is all about that 5 seconds of courage. So part 1, the 5-second rule, and it says 5 seconds can change your life. If you are searching for the one person who will change your life, look in the mirror, Mel says. Completely agree with that. You are about to learn something remarkable, she says. It takes just 5 seconds to change your life. Sounds like a gimmick, doesn't it? It's not. It's science. I'll prove it to you. You change your life one 5-second decision at a time. In fact, it's the only way to change. And this is the true story of the 5-second rule, what it is, why it works, and how it has transformed the lives of people around the world. The rule is easy to learn, and its impact is profound. It's the secret to changing anything, Mel says. Once you learn the rule, you can start using it immediately. The rule will help you live, love, work, and speak with greater confidence and courage every single day. Use it once, and it'll be there for whenever you need it. I created the 5-second rule, she says, at a time in my life when everything was falling apart. And by everything, I mean everything. My marriage, finances, career, and self-esteem were all in the gutter. My problems seemed so big that it was a struggle each morning just to get out of bed. Who's been there? It's a little struggle for me getting out of bed this morning, to be honest with you, on the bank holiday. But yeah, that's actually how the rule began. She says, I invented the rule to help me break my habit of hitting the snooze button. Kim says, my Fringe play got nominated for an award last year. It didn't win, but it felt just as good as for me. Well, it's a win, innit, Kim? It's a win for you. And that's the courage you had to put on that. That would have started with a 5-second decision. I'm going to put on a play. Now I'm going to take action on it. So when I used the rule for the very first time 7 years ago, Mel says, I thought it was silly. Little did I know that I'd invented a powerful metacognition technique that would change absolutely everything about my life, work, and sense of will. What's happened to me since discovering the 5-second rule and the power of 5-second decisions is unbelievable. I not only woke up, I shook up my entire life. I've used this one tool to take control and improve everything from my confidence to my cash flow, my marriage to my career and my productivity to my parenting. I've gone from bouncing checks to 7 figures in the bank, and from fighting with my husband to celebrating 20 years of marriage. I've cured myself of anxiety, built and sold 2 small businesses, been recruited to join the teams at CNN and Success Magazine, and I'm now one of the most booked speakers in the world. I've never felt more in control, happy, or free. I couldn't have done any of it, without the rule. Okay, the 5-second rule changed everything by teaching me one thing: how to change, she says. Using the rule, I replaced my tendency to overthink the smallest moves with a bias toward action. I used the rule to master self-monitoring and become more present and productive. The rule taught me how to stop doubting and start believing in myself, my ideas, and my abilities. And the rule has given me the inner strength to become a better and much happier person, not only for others, but for me. The rule can do the same for you. That's why I'm so excited to share it with you. So I'm going to skip some of these examples she uses here. I'm going to go back to basically describe just how bad Mel's life was initially. You've heard how great it was. Let's skip and have a look at actually how she discovered it, how bad it was, and then I'm going to play you this video. What we're going to finish with tonight. It's a 20-minute video that hopefully is going to give you a bit more. A bit more of a grasp on this, so you can start literally implementing this. I mean, it's dead simple, isn't it? You probably could do it now, but you can understand it better. Start implementing this in your life. Like you guys in America today, us in the UK. Well, you know what? Even in the UK today, you can have a 5-second decision tonight to go to bed and brush your teeth. I don't know, make that 5-second decision. So it says, courage is found in unlikely places. Tolkien said that. Courage is found in unlikely places. So this all started in 2009, says Mel. I was 41 years old and facing some major problems with money, work, and in my marriage. As soon as I woke up each morning, all I felt was dread. Anyone there now? Hopefully not, but if you are, don't worry about it. We're going to fix it. Have you ever felt that way? She says, it's the worst. The alarm rings and you just don't feel like getting up and facing the day. Or you lie awake at night with your head spinning as you worry about all of your problems. It's another thing that can happen. That for me was it for months. I felt so overwhelmed by the problems I had that I could barely get out of bed. When the alarm rang at 6 a.m, I would lie there and think about the day ahead. The loan on the house, the negative account balance, my failed career, how much I resented my husband, and then I would hit the snooze button not once, but over and over again. In the beginning, it wasn't a big deal, but as is the case with any bad habit, as time went on, it snowballed into a much bigger problem that impacted my entire day. By the time I finally got up, the kids had missed the bus, and I felt like I was failing at life. I spent most of my days tired, running late, and feeling totally overwhelmed. I don't even know how it started. I just remember feeling so defeated all the time. My professional life was in the gutter. Over the past 12 years, I'd changed careers so many times that I was developing multiple personalities. After graduating from law school, I started my career as a public defender for the Legal Aid Criminal Defense Society in New York City. Then I met my husband Chris, and we got married and moved to Boston so that he could pursue his MBA. In Boston, I worked crazy hours for a large law firm and was miserable all the time. Jamie, good evening. When our daughter was born, I used my maternity leave to look for a new job and landed in the Boston startup scene. I worked for several startup tech companies during those years. It was fun and I learned a lot, but I never felt like tech was the right career for me. I hired a coach to help me figure out what to do with my life. Recommend it for anybody who's stuck and needs some help. Always look for mentors and coaches. So working with a coach led me to want to become one. So like a lot of people, I worked during the day, focused on the kids when I got home, and then studied at night to get the certification I needed. Eventually, I launched a coaching business, and I loved it. I would probably still be doing it if media had not called. Got into bloody media, didn't she? We're all here trying to get into media. She gets into it by accident. My media career began as a fluke. Inc. magazine published an article featuring my coaching business, and an executive at CNBC saw it and called. That one call led to lots of meetings, and after months of tryouts, I landed a development deal with ABC and a call-in radio show on Sirius. It's not a station we have over here in the UK, but you guys in Miami and Chicago might get it. Sounds fancy, but it wasn't. I was surprised to learn that most development deals pay next to nothing, and that radio pays even less than that. In reality, I was a mother of three, driving back and forth to New York City, sleeping on friends' couches in the city, coaching clients on the side to make the ends meet, leaning too much on friends and family to fill the childcare gaps, and doing whatever I could to make it all work. After several years scraping by in the media business, I got my big break. I was cast to host a reality show for Fox. I had visions of magically solving all of our financial problems by becoming a TV star. We've all got visions of that, haven't we? What a joke, she says. We shot a few episodes of a show called Someone's Gotta Go, and then the network tabled the show. In an instant, my media career hit a dead end. I only got paid if we were shooting. I found myself unemployed and locked into a contract for 10 months that prevented me from pursuing another media job. By this point, Chris had finished his MBA and started a thin crust pizza restaurant with his best friend in the Boston area. In the beginning, things were going great. The first location was a home run. The company won Best of Boston, multiple regional awards, and the pizza was fantastic. They opened a second restaurant, and on the encouragement of a large grocery chain, a wholesale operation. On the outside, it looked like business was booming, but on the balance sheet, the wheels were starting to come off. They'd expanded way too quickly. The second restaurant failed and the wholesale business needed more cash to grow. Things were scary very fast. Like a lot of small business owners, we had poured our heart and soul and our equity line and life savings into the restaurant, and it was now disappearing before our eyes. We had no savings left and the home equity line was fully tapped out. Weeks went by without Chris getting paid. Loans started to hit our house. With me out of work and Chris's business struggling, the financial pressure mounted. Scary letters from attorneys seemed to arrive daily, and checks constantly bounced. The collection calls were so relentless that we unplugged the phone. When my dad sent us the money to cover the mortgage, I was both grateful and ashamed. So shit was just going down, basically. Mel's on her arse. Her husband's even more on his arse. Tony says, I grew up in Boston. Where was this pizza? I've no idea, Tony. But yeah, it was knocking around there, whatever it was. So things aren't good. It goes on to even get worse, but we ain't got time for that. I'm just going to tell you basically kind of what happens. But she was saying basically, Mel's like, look, I knew there was lots of things I needed to start doing to get out of this situation. And they were really obvious things. But she said, for the life of me, I couldn't find the motivation. When you need the motivation, anyone else find this? When you need the motivation, it's not there. When you don't necessarily need it, it's like you've got loads of it. You're like, oh, you're buzzing with loads of ideas. But then some days you'll wake up and you're like, oh my God, I really need it today. You're like, there's just no motivation there at all. She says, have you ever noticed how the smallest things can feel so hard? Having heard from thousands of you, she says on social media, I know that I'm not alone on this one. The list of hard things is actually surprisingly universal. Things like speaking in a meeting, it's hard for people. Staying positive, it's a little thing, but it's hard, although it ends up being a massive thing. Making a decision, finding time for yourself, asking for feedback, hitting send on emails, sticking to your plan, leaving the house, volunteering to go first, showing up at a reunion, blocking an ex on social media, talking to someone you find attractive, stepping on a dance floor. Oh, that's not hard for me if I've had a couple of drinks. Publishing your work. People find that really hard. Getting to the gym. I don't mean publishing like a book. I mean as in like putting their work out. It's already done. It's finished. They just don't want to put it out there for people to see. Eating in moderation. Saying no. Asking for help. Letting your guard down. Admitting you were wrong. And listening. All little things that we find really, really hard to do. She says, in my case, I was getting up on time. Lying in bed every night. In my case, it was getting up on time. That was her little thing that she found it really hard to do. Lying in bed every night, I would make promises to myself that tomorrow I would change. She'd be like, look, tomorrow I will change. Tomorrow I will wake up earlier. Tomorrow I will have a better attitude and try harder. I'll go to the gym. I'll be nice to my husband. I'll eat healthy. I won't drink so much. Tomorrow I'll be the new future me. And with that vision in mind and a heart full of hope, she says, I'd set my alarm for 6 a.m. and close my eyes, and the cycle would begin the very next morning. As soon as that alarm rang, I didn't feel like the future me. I felt like the old me, and the old me wanted to keep sleeping. And then one night, everything changed. And we're going to listen to how it changed. I'm going to play this video. She's going to explain it in way more depth. But she was about to turn the TV off and head to bed when a television commercial caught my attention. On the screen was the image of a rocket launching. I could hear the famous final 5-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire! And smoke filled the screen and the shuttle launched. I thought to myself, that's it. I'll launch myself out of bed tomorrow like a rocket. I'll move so fast I won't have time to talk myself out of it. It was just an instinct, one that I could have easily dismissed. Luckily, I didn't. I acted on it. The fact is, I wanted to solve our problems. I didn't want to destroy my marriage or keep feeling like the world's worst mum. I wanted to be financially secure. I wanted to feel happy and proud of myself again. And I desperately wanted to change. I just didn't know how. And this is an important point in my story. The instinct to launch myself out of bed was my inner wisdom talking. Hearing it was a tipping point. Following its instructions was life-changing. Your brain and your body send you signals to wake up and pay attention. And the idea of launching myself out of bed is an example of that. This is interesting, guys, but listen to this. Your instincts may seem stupid in the moment, but when you honour them with deliberate action, it can change your life. There's more to this point about acting on your instincts than just the phrase, trust your gut. New research from the University of Arizona, in partnership with Cornell and Duke, has shown that there's a powerful connection between your brain and your instinct to act. So when you set a goal, your brain opens up a task list. And whenever you are near things that can help you achieve those goals, your brain fires up your instincts to signal to get that goal completed. So for an example of this, let's say you have a goal to get healthier. If you walk into a living room, nothing happens. If you walk past the gym, however, your prefrontal cortex at the front of your brain lights up because you are near something related to getting healthier. As you pass the gym, you'll feel like you should exercise. That's an instinct reminding you of the goal. That's your inner wisdom, and it's important to pay attention to it, no matter how small or silly that instinct may seem. So subconsciously, Mel's brain was signaling her to pay attention to this rocket launch on TV, and in that 5-second moment, her brain was sending her a very clear set of instructions saying, look, pay attention to this rocket launch, Mel. Grab the idea, believe in it, and do it. Don't stop and think. Don't talk yourself out of the launch. Just launch yourself out of bed tomorrow, Mel, was effectively, that's what it was saying. And it's exactly what she did. The next morning, the alarm rang at 6 a.m. and the first thing I felt was dread. It was dark, it was cold, it was winter in Boston, and I didn't want to wake up. I thought about the rocket launch and I immediately felt it was stupid. Then I did something I had never done before. I ignored how I felt. I didn't think, I did what needed to be done. And instead of hitting the snooze button, I started counting backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I stood up. And that was the exact moment I discovered the 5-second rule. She says, And it says the 5-second rule: the moment you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and physically move, or your brain will stop you. So, and that just applies to anything in your life. Chapter 3 is all about what you can expect and when to use it. I'm not going to look at that tonight. I'm going to play this video instead. But the whole point of the rule is you will all know what you should be doing in your life to change your life for the better, whether that's in or out of your acting career, in or out of your relationships, every aspect of your life. There'll be little things. And for you, it might just be getting up earlier. You know, me changing 2 or 3 years ago now into a morning person and working out in the morning was a change I'd wanted to make for 32 years. Well, not quite, about 28 years, something like that. And I just didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it until I forced myself to do it effectively without knowing I was using the 5-second rule, And now it's just absolute, you know, it's still not easy, but it's instinct upon waking now. I can't lie in bed because I've got to go and work out. It's just part of me and what I do. But I never thought I would become that person. You've just got to force yourself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and physically move, or your brain's going to stop you. So if you've got, you know, draft emails in your draft email folder that you still haven't sent because you shit your pants about sending it to someone, whether that's a casting director, an agent, or a friend, or just whoever, because you waited more than 5 seconds, that's probably why you didn't send it, you know. Or if you've still got that thing to do in your career, you know, writing that thing, you know, or I don't know, recording that audio, recording that podcast, developing that website. You have an idea for something, like, oh, that'd be cool. If you don't act on it within 5 seconds, it doesn't mean do the whole thing. It just means start something. You know, write something down, make some notes, open up your phone, make some notes in your phone, send an email, make a phone call, whatever it is. You've got 5 seconds, or your brain is going to kill the idea. And your brain's going to kill the idea because it thinks it's doing you a favor, because it thinks you could be hurt by going and trying to do that thing, whatever it is. And if you listen to, well, if you don't fight back effectively, it's not even listening to your brain, it will just shut it down subconsciously. If you don't fight back and take action within 5 seconds, you're just going to be stuck where you are now for the rest of your life. Kim, all right, good evening on Facebook. So I'm going to play you this video. Big shout out to Impact Theory here. Technically, this isn't my video. I hope copyright-wise we don't get shut down on Facebook or Twitter here. But this is an interview that Mel did with Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory. Like I say, he owns Quest Nutrition. You guys in America have Quest bars. I know we have them over here. They're not as big over here, but they're massive in America, Quest bars, protein bars and stuff like that. Tom's a great guy. Do check out Impact Theory. This video is Tom and Mel talking about the 5-second rule and ultimately a bit about what we've spoken about tonight. Just says it in a bit more elegant fashion with a bit more emotional music than I do. But let's watch this. I can still see your comments. Yeah, it's 9:30. This will take us about 10 to 10. Then I'll come back on for just 5 minutes. We'll do a little bit of closing up, and I'll tell you about what's going on Acts on This and stuff this week. So this is Mel. Hopefully we won't get cut off. If anything does get cut off, massive apologies, but hopefully we'll get away with it. All right, enjoy.
I'll never forget standing there in my bedroom. It was dark, it was cold, it was winter in Boston. And for the first time in 3 months, I had beaten my habit of hitting the snooze button. There are so many people in the world, and you know, you may be watching this right now, and you have these incredible ideas, and what you think is missing is motivation. And that's not true. Because the way that our minds are wired, and the fact about human beings, is that we are not designed to do things that are uncomfortable or scary or difficult. Our brains are designed to protect us from those things because our brains are trying to keep us alive. And in order to change, in order to build a business, in order to be the best parent, the best spouse, to do all those things that you know you want to do with your life, with your work, with your dreams, you're going to have to do things that are difficult, uncertain, or scary, which sets up this problem for all of us. You're never going to feel like it. Motivation's garbage. You only feel motivated to do the things that are easy, right?
Why do you think that is?
Oh, I know exactly why that is. Because I've studied this so much, because for me, one of the hardest things to figure out was, why is it so hard to do the little things that would improve my life? And what I've come to realize, and what we'll talk a lot about today, is that the way that our minds are designed is our minds are designed to stop you at all costs from doing anything that might hurt you. And the way that this all happens is it all starts with something super subtle that none of us ever catch. And that is with this habit that all of us have that nobody's talking about. We all have a habit of hesitating. We have an idea, you're sitting in a meeting, you have this incredible idea, and instead of just, saying it, you stop and you hesitate. Now, what none of us realize is that when you hesitate, just that moment, that micro moment, that small hesitation, it sends a stress signal to your brain. It wakes your brain up, and your brain all of a sudden goes, oh wait a minute, why is he hesitating? He didn't hesitate when he put on his killer spiky sneakers. He didn't hesitate with the really cool track pants. He didn't hesitate with the NASA t-shirt. Now he's hesitating to talk, something must be up. So then your brain goes to work to protect you. It has a million different ways to protect you. One of them is called the spotlight effect. It's a known phenomenon where your brain magnifies risk. Why? To pull you away from something that it perceives to be a problem. And so you can truly trace every single problem or complaint in your life to silence and hesitation. Those are decisions. And what I do and what's changed my life is waking up and realizing that motivation's garbage. I'm never going to feel like doing the things that are tough or difficult or uncertain or scary or new. So I need to stop waiting until I feel like it. And number two, I am one decision away from a totally different marriage, a totally different life, a totally different job, a totally different income, a totally different relationship with my kids. Not like one decision, I'm divorcing you in the marriage example, but one decision on, you could be having a conversation with your spouse and you feel your emotions rise up, and within a tiny window, those emotions can take over and can impact how your marriage goes. Or you can learn how to take control of that micro moment and make a decision to act in a way that actually shifts your marriage. Your life comes down to your decisions, and if you change your decisions, you will change everything. I was 41 years old. I was unemployed. My husband had started a restaurant business, which was his dream. This is actually a funny story. When he got laid off from a big job in high tech, and I think he was really relieved. You know how a lot of us wait to quit our jobs and then we get laid off and we're like, yes. And he said, I'm not going to look for a job. I'm going to go into the restaurant business. And I think I said the most famous lines of our marriage at that point. I looked at him and I said, listen, buddy, inspiration is for strangers. You get your butt back to that job and you pay the mortgage. And again, micro moment where I'm being a jerk instead of being a supportive wife. But that's an example of where when he said he was not going to go get a job, but he was going to start a business, the first thing that was there was fear.
Right.
And so fear was making the decision for me.
God, I love that you can share that though. That's so powerful.
Well, so what happened is the first restaurant was a home run. And of course, what do you do when things are successful? You grow it. You grow it really big. And so they decided to raise some money. And we threw in our home equity line, the kids' college savings. They tried to open a second and a third, and at the same point, a grocery store chain encouraged them to go into wholesale. So it basically got way too big, way too fast, and the wheels started to come off. And they came off so badly that the second restaurant failed, and they held on to it for too long, like a lot of us do. It's another trick our brains play on us called sunk costs. When you throw a ton of time and a ton of money at something, it's really hard to let go of it. And if you haven't done it in business, we all have a relationship in our past, stayed way too long. That was a trick your brain played on you. So by the time that they closed the second restaurant, it was an $800,000 loss. I mean, that meant our entire home equity line gone.
Right.
It meant kids' college. I get just choked up just thinking about how terrifying it was. And so I found myself at the age of 41, like just feeling like a complete failure, and so did Chris. And to make it worse, not only had we lost all of our savings, but so many friends and family members had invested. And so there was this real tension between the truth of what was happening and what you had to do in public, because it was public business. shame, failure, embarrassment, and the liens started to hit the house. The phone started to ring, and it was nothing but collection calls. And I just remember feeling this tremendous shame. And at some point, I think we all hit that moment in life where things just are not going how you thought they would go. And what's amazing about those moments is we all respond very differently. So my husband, he would spring out of bed and he would head right out that door, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would go meet his partner, and they would go to the bank and they would dig right in and they would face their problems head on. And he's also a smart guy. I mean, he did not want to be in the house when yours truly woke up, because I was a raging bitch at that point in our lives. And the reason why is because when you're scared and you're afraid and you're jealous and you're overwhelmed with emotion, it is so much easier to point the finger at other people. That's a decision, by the way.
Sure.
One you may not be aware that you're making, but you're still making it. So what would happen to me is the exact opposite. Is Chris would be gone, the alarm would go off at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would lie there. And I would think about the lien on the house, and I would think about the bankruptcy that we were facing, and I would think about how much we had fought the night before, and I would think about the fact that I was unemployed, and I would hit the snooze button. I mean, why would you get up when your life is like that? Why would you? I mean, I needed confidence, I needed courage. I was so tapped out. And you know, in the scheme of life, hitting the snooze button is not that big of a deal. But here's the thing about life. None of us wake up and say, today is the day I destroy my life. What we do is we kind of check out because it feels overwhelming. Or we check out because we're afraid. Or we check out because we start listening to self-doubt, and then we make these teeny tiny decisions all day long. We don't even realize it. Decision to not get up on time, a decision to not eat the right thing, a decision to snap at your kids, a decision to not speak in a meeting, a decision to not look for a job, a decision to not deal with your finances, a decision to not call your parents, like whatever it is. All day long, these tiny decisions that take you so far off track. And then you wake up like I did, and you look at your life and you think, how the hell did I get here? And more importantly, how do I get back over there? And you have no idea. And so I was so trapped. And I know from your story, you felt the same way. Like you knew that there was more in store for you, but you couldn't figure out, how do you close that gap? How do you find the power that's in you? How do you discover your greatness? How do you solve these problems? It feels so overwhelming when you can't. I mean, I would go to the grocery store and the items would scan, and I would be sitting there readying my excuse because there was no way that my check card was going to clear.
Wow.
So I got in this struggle with myself that a lot of us find ourselves in, and that is you get trapped in what I call the knowledge action gap. You know what to do, but you can't seem to make yourself do it, right? I mean, every one of us is one Google search away from a list of instructions that if you follow any of them, it will change your life. But how do you get out of your head and stop thinking about what you need to do and actually do it? And in my case, this stuff was pretty easy. Get up on time, make breakfast for the kids, get them on the bus, start looking for a job. Be nicer to Chris. Don't drink so much. Instead of isolating yourself, pick up the phone and call a friend. Get yourself out into the woods and go for a walk. Start running again. Like all these little things that I was capable of, but I couldn't get out of here. Could not get out of here. And if you're stuck, that's the problem. The problem is you're in your head, you're thinking. That is the universal problem. And it all starts with this knowledge of what to do, and then you hesitate and you think about whether or not you feel like doing it. So for a couple months, I was really stuck. Chris would get up at 6, I'd hit the snooze, and then I'd hit the snooze, and then I'd hit the snooze, the kids would miss the bus. And then every night I'd do the same thing. I'd go in bed. Have you ever had one of those nights? Probably before you started your company, but where you go in bed and you're like, all right, Tom, that's it. Tomorrow, it's the new me. Tomorrow, I'm gonna get up on time. I am gonna go to the gym. I am gonna look for a job. I'm not gonna drink so much. It's gonna be amazing. The new me, the future me. Woo! Let's do this, right? Then you go to bed, and you wake up 7 hours later, and you're like, I don't feel like the new me. It's the only, that's a stupid, see, motivation's garbage. It's never there when you need it. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And so here's what happened to me, and thank you for wearing the NASA t-shirt. It's a really stupid story.
It's a powerful story.
So one night, Chris had gone to bed. I'd been struggling. We still had all the same problems. We still had a lien on the house, still facing bankruptcy, still fighting like crazy. I was still unemployed. They still hadn't figured out like the solution yet for the business. And I was about to turn off the TV, and there on the TV, there was this rocket launching, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is it. I am gonna launch myself out of bed like a rocket ship, like NASA, right here, had launched me out of that bed. And I'm gonna move so fast that I don't think. I'm gonna beat my brain. Now, here's a really interesting point. I talk a lot about your instincts and inner wisdom. And we can get into this a little bit later, but a lot of us talk about the fact that you have a gut feeling. But what all this research that I've done for the book and all the speaking that I do, what I've discovered that's fascinating is actually when you set goals, when you have an intention on something that you want to change about your life, your brain helps you. What it does is it opens up a checklist, and then your brain goes to work trying to remind you of that intention that you set. And it's really important to develop the skill, and I say that word purposefully, the skill of knowing how to hear that inner wisdom and that intention kicking in and leaning into it quickly. So for me, my brain saying, that's it, right there, move as fast as a rocket, Mel. I wanted to change my life. And I think most people that are miserable or that are really like dying to be great and dying to have more, we want to change. We want to live a better life. We want to create more for our families. We want to be happier. The desire is there. Again, it's about how do you go from knowledge to action. So the first thing in this story that's important is realizing that the answer was in me. And my mind was telling me, pay attention. Could have also been the bourbon. I had a couple of Manhattans that night. But anyway, the next morning, the alarm goes off, and I pretended NASA was there. It's the stupidest story. I literally went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I counted out loud, and then I stood up. And I'll never forget standing there in my bedroom. It was dark, it was cold, it was winter in Boston. And for the first time in 3 months, I had beaten my habit of hitting the snooze button. I couldn't believe it, and I thought, wait a minute. Counting backwards? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Well, the next morning I used it again, and it worked. The next morning I used it again, and it worked. The next morning I used it again, and it worked. And then I started to notice something really interesting. There were moments all day long, just like that 5-second moment in bed, where I knew, knowledge, what I should do. And if I didn't move within 5 seconds, my brain would step in and talk me out of it. Every human being has a 5-second window, might even be shorter for you. You have about a 5-second window in which you can move from idea to action before your brain kicks into full gear and sabotages any change in behavior. Because remember, your brain is wired to stop you from doing things that are uncomfortable or uncertain or scary. It's your job to learn how to move from those ideas that could change everything into acting on them in the smallest moment.
And for anyone right now at home who's thinking like, this sounds too simple, too easy, talk a bit about your community, because reading some of their comments, it's crazy how many people, like the sheer volume of people you quote in your book, but if you also go online and just look at the people that are like directly reaching out to you, it is an avalanche of people that have stories around the 5-second rule.
Well, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this book, and look, you don't have to buy the book. This is an idea that you can use. It's free. It's backed by science. More than 8 million people around the world have discovered it. And you know, you're talking about the number of people. We've heard from more than 100,000 people in 80 countries that are using this rule. We know of 11 people who have stopped themselves from killing themselves using this rule.
I saw one of those.
Yes,
outreaches.
yes. There's a guy, Steve, that wrote to us who was a veteran. He was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. He boarded a ferry overseas with the intention to jump over. He walked over to the railing, and his inner wisdom kicked in. In that moment, the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, counting backwards, moved away from the railing, asked for help, saved his life. His story has inspired countless other people that have heard me in the speeches that I give around the world about this one tool. And so, you know, the thing that's so cool about this, and I should tell you the science behind it, because I'm going to be honest with you, it is stupid. Had I ever thought that I would find myself 8 years after discovering it, spending my days telling people about the 5-second rule? First of all, I would have picked a different name, because it reminds you of the one where you have to like pick up food within 5 seconds off the floor, right? It was my secret weapon. This was something I did. I never intended to tell anybody, because I went from getting up on time and waking up on time to shaking up my entire life. Because when you understand the power of a 5-second decision, and you understand that you always have a choice to go from autopilot to decision maker, everything in your life will change. You will be a different negotiator, you will be different in sales, you will be unstoppable in the gym, because you will realize the amount of garbage that you put in the way of your hopes, of your dreams, of your potential, of your confidence, of your courage. Everything comes down to the decisions that you make. We all know what to do. None of us know how to make ourselves do it. So I started researching it. Why does something so stupid work? Why? Why does something so silly create such powerful and profound change? Well, here's why. The rule is a form of metacognition. Metacognition is a fancy pants term that means something real simple. You can outsmart your own brain in furtherance of goals. There are tricks that you can use that actually outsmart the tricks your brain plays on you in furtherance of a higher purpose. We all know this. You can restrain yourself if you're in a situation that calls for it. You can jump into a raging river to save your dog or your kid. You can direct yourself in ways if it's important to you. And so the rule, what it does is it does something really remarkable. When you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, what you're actually doing is you're interrupting what researchers call habit loops that get encoded as closed loop patterns in your basal ganglia. That's the part of the brain where your feelings, where your emotions, every habit that you have, which is nothing more than behavior that you repeat that you don't even think about.
I've heard it referred to as a gearbox.
Yeah.
To shift your attention from
Yes. And so when you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it interrupts what's going on here that's spinning without you thinking, and it moves and awakens your prefrontal cortex. So when you hit 1, your habit has been interrupted. So you've interrupted self-doubt. You've interrupted maybe snapping at your kids. You've interrupted the desire to grab for a drink. You've interrupted procrastination. You've also, by counting backwards, done an action. It's awakened your prefrontal cortex. That is the part of the brain that you need that's awake when you're changing behavior, when you're learning new things. When you hit 1, it's also a prompt. So in the language of research, you'll hear people talk about starting rituals. That is something that's proven to help you learn a new habit. The 5-second rule, when you repeat it, becomes a starting ritual that triggers you to act with confidence, that triggers you that this is a moment for courage, that triggers you to shift gears. And because you've also done the manual work of awakening the part of the brain that you need to change, you've set yourself up for success. It doesn't work if you count up, because you can keep going. And also, counting up doesn't require focus. If you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it, again, awakens the prefrontal cortex and it prompts you to move. When you start to use it and then you read about it, you'll see that it's being used all over the place. They use it in the armed services in order to align troops and get them to start an exercise. They use it at elementary schools, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, at big assemblies to get a huge room full of kids to stop talking.
Simple and interesting example, yeah.
because it requires you to focus. It's not a habit. It will become a habit that prompts you to have confidence and courage. But in the beginning, it interrupts patterns of behavior that you do on autopilot. It helps you assert control, and it teaches you how to become the kind of person that moves from thinking about something to actually doing it.
Oof, isn't that interesting? Like I say, massive shout out to Impact Theory and Tom Bilyeu, who you saw there in that interview. Obviously, that's not my interview. Can't take credit for that. Fascinating. Go check it out. You're going to watch the full interview. I think it's nearly an hour long. That's just some of the highlights from it. But yeah, I mean, what a fascinating rule, and something that I'm definitely going to be trying to implement in my life. It's interesting, isn't it? You know, it doesn't work obviously going up because you can just carry on counting. I've changed my the way I count reps in the gym like this. Rather than going, right, I'm going to do 10 reps and then getting to 10 and then going, right, okay, you know, that's it. I'll go, right, okay, I'm going to do 12, but I'm going to count backwards. So I'm going to do 2 more than I said I was going to do initially, but I'm going to count backwards. So at least, like, you know, you're getting closer and closer to the end in sight. It's not like you can keep going on forever. It's got obviously nothing to do with the 5-second rule, but it's similar kind of concept to just a prompt that take action. Who else is up for this then? Are we going to try this in our lives or what? I just think it's a great book, and obviously the book's, you know, got loads of examples in this. Going to look at another chapter of this towards the end of this month. But let us know. Wow, that was powerful, says Wendy. Very interesting, said Rich. What an inspirational woman, says Eloise. Sorry for missing your comments here on Twitter and Periscope. But yeah, I just think it's such a simple concept, but something that's going to just be massively powerful if you implement this, because it's ultimately, being the inner parent. You know, I saw another talk Mel did, and she's like, look, as you know, we don't want to do the things, you know, we don't want to do some of these little things. She says, but, you know, as parents, our job, you know, is to tell our kids they don't want to do things, you know, they don't want to tidy their room, they don't want to do their homework, etc. It's our job, well, I'm not a parent, but it's, you know, parents' jobs to make sure their kids do the things they don't want to do in order to be successful. So you've got to be your inner parent with this, effectively, and go, right, I know if I'm going to take action on this thing, I've got 5 seconds to do it, and I'm going to force myself to take action. I just think, like, you know, if you're hesitating around hitting call on the phone or pressing send on an email, just something, just do it and just get that, you know, momentum started. Definitely going to try this, says Wendy. Got to give it a go, says Rich. I am, definitely, and then we'll report back next week. Let me know what results you've got, or if you get a result through the week, then tweet me at Ross A. Grant at Acts on This TV. Let me know what it was. I'm up for anything that helps. Go for it, says Dawn. You've just got to. Lowry says, I would definitely use it with my daughter. We'll use it in everything, Lowry. Use it in every part of your life, because you can. And I just think it applies to every part of your life. So just hope there's been an interesting book club for tonight. Like I say, because we're only doing 2 of these a month now rather than 1 a week. Just want to make them a little bit more like that, so you get a bit more of a gist of the book in its entirety over just 2 sessions. You know, we can't spend as long on it as we used to. But me freeing up these Wednesday nights, not doing a live broadcast, is having a big impact on my life in terms of the productivity I'm seeing and the more features I can bring you. So I brought you a podcast with Rachel Shenton this week. I'm going to have another one for you guys next week, maybe a live broadcast next week that's not one of these, but an actual, you know, a live broadcast with a casting director, which will happen over at actonthis.tv. It's helping massively, so I hope you're okay with that. We're not doing a Wednesday night broadcast like this, but we're going to be doing more stuff to do with actonthis.tv and getting more directly related acting stuff on the go, ultimately, which I think is good. You know, it's what ultimately we're all here for, to have a nice life, a great career, and have a lovely time. So I hope this has contributed something towards that. And let me know your thoughts. If you're listening on the audio experience, hugely appreciate you. If anyone in here, you know, you can't catch these live sometimes, you can always catch up on the audio on iTunes and Stitcher.com. Just go to iTunes and search for Act on This TV, all one word. You'll find something called the Act on This TV audio experience, and all the audio from every live broadcast I do goes up on there as well. When are you on TV this month, Ross? Whenever Age Before Beauty comes out, Dawn, on BBC One. I don't know. I should probably know, but I don't know when it is. I play a guy called Mitchell. I come into it in Ep 3. I think it's Ep 3. But yeah, it's BBC One, sometime in April, I think. Do a Google on it. I don't know. I'm going to definitely find out, obviously, because I'll be tweeting about it and promoting it and try to get casting directors to watch it and give me another job, which would be nice. The Rachel interview was brilliant, Ross says. Richard, thank you, Rich. Yeah, so not only was Rachel on my vlog this week that you've just seen a clip of at the start of this broadcast, I did an hour-long in-depth interview with her. You can go and find it at actonthis.tv. You'll see it on the homepage. It's a premium podcast. You've got to have a premium membership to get access to it, but that's just £10 a month. That's all it is. A lot of that money goes to charity as well. So it helps support the site, helps support great causes as well, and it helps support you. I mean, you're going to find out knowledge there from somebody who this time 18 months ago was an unemployed actress who nobody really wanted to see. She's now won an Oscar because she got off her own backside, used the 5-second principle, maybe 5-second rule, wrote a script, shot it, promoted it, now has a freaking Oscar, two Oscars, her and her fiance, 2 Oscars. So yeah, that's inspiration, surely to God. But you can go and listen to an hour of me and Rach talking about how she did that at onthis.tv. Well worth the price of your membership. I think if anyone's not got a membership, to a premium membership, you get access to about 200 hours worth of premium content now over there with the biggest casting directors, actors, writers, producers, agents in the business, and a load more coming as well. It's just a complete no-brainer. Go check it out. Don't forget the meetups this weekend, guys. Right, yeah, we're going to have 2 meetups this weekend. I've got a problem, Wendy, in the Manchester one. I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm filming a charity video for a guy called Danny Miller, plays Aaron in Emmerdale. He's reached out to me to film a video for him. Which means I'm not going to make the Manchester one this week, so it's going to be this Saturday coming. Wendy's going to be running the London one at Festival Hall. South Bank, is it, Wendy? Actors get out of that. Wendy bakes cookies. It's a great morning. Coffee, cookies, acting chat, networking, getting to know more actors. I run the Manchester one. These happen the first Saturday of every month. But this one, I'm not going to be at, so I need somebody to step up at the Manchester one and like take the reins and go, right, I'll chair the meeting, so to speak. It's all dead relaxed though. Again, it's coffee, cake, and acting chat. But I'm not going to be able to make the this one this time. So if you are a regular goer of the Manchester one, hit me up on Facebook. Let me know if you'd be happy to take the reins. Basically, I don't know if there's anyone in here. Sam, maybe you would. Sam's on here. Let me know if there's anyone else on here who comes to the Manchester one. But do let me know, because it's still going to go ahead. I still love it to go ahead without me. It's not like, the Ross show. I want these to go ahead when, I'm not there. I'll be at 95% of them, but it's going to be the odd one. Lucy says I can. Lucy, you freaking legend. Yep, awesome. Lucy, if you would, it'd just mean the world. Like, honestly, and next time I'm at one, total free coffee and cake for the entire time you're there. When I'm there, I'll definitely be at the next one in May. Oh my God, May. It's April, isn't it, already? That's crazy. And don't leave Wendy on her own as well. Wendy's saying don't leave me on my own. They won't, Wendy. Everyone's going to go to the London one as well. But if you go to facebook.com/actonthistv, you will you'll be able to see the events in the events section there. But the same page, if you're on Facebook now, you're watching this broadcast on. Facebook, not the Facebook group, but the Facebook page, facebook.com/actonthistv. You'll find the events there. I'll share them in the group as well and let you guys know what's going on. Rosalind said, I wrote my own showreel scenes and I'm 13. Well, look at that. See, putting people far, far older than you to shame there. But yeah, you've got to take action. If you're 13, what are you doing up now? It's 10 o'clock. It's school holidays though, isn't it? But yeah, you've got to take action ultimately on your career. It's all down to the decisions you make. So I hope that's been useful for you. Go get Mel's book, The 5-Second Rule, Mel Robbins with 2 Bs. Rich has already got it on Kindle, he said. He's downloaded it. Go get it on Amazon. Yeah, if you're watching on the replay and that's on this.tv, I'll even put a link to it beneath this video on Amazon as well. And I will see you guys next Monday, innit? Next Monday. But I'll try and put out some new audio that's exclusive to the audio experience as well this week. That's going to be on the Act on This TV audio experience on iTunes and Stitcher. So go in there, subscribe to that if you're not already subscribed. You've helped me out so much, Ross. Thanks for all this. No problem, Bobby. Thanks for taking part, man, and being a part of it. You've helped yourself out more than I've helped you. So appreciate it. I will get ready. I nearly ended the broadcast then without actually ending it properly on Facebook. I can't see anyone else's Facebook comments, But thanks, Lowry. I think you just said thanks there. But just as I end this, I have to go into a separate screen to do that. If you're watching live for the first time, there's quite a lot of people watching on Facebook tonight, thank you. Do this every Monday. We'll be smashing to see you next Monday as well. Spread the word. It's completely free. Just hope it helps people really just learn more about hacking their minds ultimately to get more stuff done, have more success, get further much faster. So thank you. I'll leave you that clip again of my vlog. Go to youtube.com/watch Ross, because actually, last thing, I want to pay for someone's Spotlight subscription or give you 150 quid cash. Sometime this month in April, I'm going to do a draw. youtube.com/watch Ross. Go and subscribe. And I'm going to do a random draw and just give someone £150 cash. Every comment you leave on an episode, one per episode max, acts as an entry into the prize draw. It's 24 episodes of my vlog up at the moment. So do go over there and subscribe. Check it out. I'm going to show you behind the scenes of my acting career, special guests every week. You see voiceover career, like online business, everything, entertainment, education, motivation, inspiration. And hopefully... you could be the one. You could be the one who gets 150 quid. Here's a 6-second clip from this week. You'll see Rachel's Oscar one more time, and I'll see you guys next Monday. All right, until then, bye for now. Best live action short film. You would not believe how heavy this is. Welcome everybody to episode 24 of Watch Ross, the one where we've kicked Petch out of the car because it's raining, and we also get our hands
on an Oscar.
I planned no questions, Rach, at all. It's just going to be a coffee conversation. Don't know what's going to happen.
Lovely.
Right, we are on. Look at this little guy here. Have you given him like a little nickname or what?
No, just Oscar.
Can we just call him Ross? Rachel's very good at baking cakes. How many birthday cakes have you made me? Multiple.
Well, at least 4 or 5.
At least 4 or 5.
Before I won that Oscar, there were so many wins along that process that possibly other people wouldn't have classed as a win. It's not about the end result as to whether you win or lose. It's about the whole process and having the courage to do each step.